Robert Bigson, here are the reports
One
yes.
moment, I'm reading this article that says they have processor with 6 cores. Is this true? I want it.
But sir, it costs $1,000.
I don't care. Order it.
So a few months ago I bought this Dell XPS 9100 Studio, and something always stuck out to me. The Core i7 sticker that you see here is black, and all the ones that I've ever seen are blue. So what does that mean? So I looked up the model number, and I was shocked to find out that the 980X Extreme Edition was $1,000 in 2010. I didn't even know what I had. To me, it was just some old CPU. And see, here's the blue logo on a typical, and then the black one is the Extreme. This is the press material from 2010, codename Golf Town, says 34% better. There's a guy gaming standing up for some reason. And this is the heatsink that it came with, which was revolutionary, I guess. So what I decided to do was get a aftermarket motherboard and see if we could overclock this. This Asus Sabertooth X58, quite old, but it still had the peel, which is fun. And see what we can do. I heard that you can overclock this quite a bit. It's completely unlocked, the multiplier. Some people have gotten 5-6 gigahertz out of it. This is the cooler that it came with, which was nice. It has this big tunnel effect. Again, this is a Dell system, so while it doesn't look like much, that's pretty amazing for a Dell to have the copper slug and all that. Now the stock frequency on this 980X is 3.3 gigahertz. It'll boost up to 3.7, 3.9 sometimes. But when I went into the BIOS, I found this interesting thing. It had settings already in there. See, it says crazy 4 gigahertz and crazy 4.2. So I just put those in and fired it up. And here's another look at the motherboard that I used, the Asus Sabertooth X58. It's still available on eBay. It goes for about $75 or so. And the 980X you can still buy on eBay for as little as $50, but they come from China and they have tons in stock. So I'm concerned about if they're real or not. Some of them, if they're from the US and verified, they go for more like $75, $80. There is also a 990X, which goes for the same price, and it's at 3.4 gigahertz instead of the 3.3. So just a slight bump in clock speed and really not more expensive. So I might have to try that next time. It's kind of funny, this revolutionary stock cooler that it would have come with costs more than the chip itself because it's sort of a collector's item. It's the first time Intel ever made a true tower fan. And here's a look at CPU-Z, so you can see the specifications. And it does change the logo to black when you use the Extreme Edition, which is cool. So who would buy a CPU for $1,000 in 2010? I have no idea. I assume there was reasons for it. Maybe for extreme editing or something like that. In fact, when I looked up reviews about the processor itself, I could only find 2 or 3 people that actually had it back then, and this is one of the guys, and I'm sure you recognize him. So only the ballers had the big boy CPU for $1,000. Now let's take a look at the results when we did a little overclocking and see how we did. So here's the Cinebench scores. This is stock, the 4.0 gigahertz setting, and then the 4.2. And then compared to an i5 4th gen, it's actually a little bit faster. So it's still a pretty powerful CPU. And just a side note, I was able to push the clock much higher using different settings and custom settings, but the temperature was out of control, and I eventually gave up because it would crash. So when I went to 4.5 gigahertz and beyond 4.6, it actually worked fine. But in the benchmark of Cinebench, if it was over 96C for an extended period of time, it would throttle and it would ruin the benchmark. It didn't actually crash, it would throttle the CPU. I could see it happening. Unfortunately, I don't have those videos anymore. And so people say you can run these at 100C, no problem, but the 10-minute length of the Cinebench, I think, is just too much for the processor and the heatsink that it was on. And so I just went ahead with the normal overclocking settings that you saw before. But yeah, it was great. It was fun. It was very hot. And next time we'll try the 990X. If you were interested in this, I would also suggest you take a look at my Xeon video, which will be linked at the end, which is the same kind of processor. And I was able to actually get 4.7 gigahertz and a much higher score than the ones you saw there. So check that out, and we'll see you next time.